Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number
Peaches.
21. Oh, my. Are you as thrilled with the idea that Boy Thunder, out of anybody, like you go with that Legion of Superheroes, right? He's there, and me and Stork are going through the Great Darkness Saga, so we're going through it. And every time I see Starboy, the guy has a beard. It looks like he's 48. I'm like, you got to change your name, dude. Be Starman, but you can't. But I'm glad that Boy Thunder decided I'm Thunderman now. That's right. Boy Thunder. I'm a grown-up.
You say
kid.
that. I look at this guy though, in Earth 22, all grown up. He's Jason Todd with freaking heat powers.
Yeah, and he's not that grown up. Why isn't Starboy, like I'm telling you, Starboy looks like he would be like I said on the podcast, he looks like the bassist for like the Pretenders.
You say that. I'm telling you, when he becomes Starman though in the JSA book in 2000, it's great.
Yeah, so there you go. That's what I'm talking about, Eric. You know what I'm saying. Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 21, written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora. Is that just, is it enough for me to just say art, Eric? Because, oh my goodness, he's so good. He's so good. Tamara Bonvillain, you know about her. Steve Wands. And I wasn't going to say she blocked us, but then I say that, it feels like I'm like being hateful or something. Unlike, what she was when she blocked us, Eric. I still don't know why. I think it was your jerk off face. But we end up getting into this book and we're in the Kingdom Come stuff. And you end up where are we going? You figure that they're going to figure some things out. I don't know that they're going to change things because that gets a little wonky and stuff like that. But
we talk about a lot, and we might even talk about it in this podcast going forward because we recorded a bunch of stuff already. But we talk about it a lot in this podcast over the last couple of weeks where this issue of Batman, Superman, World's Finest, it requires, in my mind, a lot of homework to get into the story outside of the Boy Thunder stuff that led into it. Because now that we're on Earth 22, we had, Batman, Superman flung to the future of Earth 22 where all of Kingdom Come and Kingdom, it seems like, has already happened. And then you go back in time to well before Superman has ever quit in the Kingdom Come universe, well before Magog kills the Joker, or Lois is killed and stuff like that, to when Batman and Superman are pretty much still just active Justice League members. So you have this weird play here because things in this time frame of Earth 22 and possibly our Earth 0 continuity, because who knows how the World's Finest plays with their timeline in current continuity and stuff like that, everything has changed in this issue alone. And I think it's going to take a lot of homework to get into it because even outside of Kingdom Come itself, which we're readdressing here, it's a Mark Waid story doing Mark Waid stuff. And all of a sudden at the end, when we have Gog show up, this Gog is the Gog from Earth 0 or New Earth continuity, pre-Flashpoint stuff that took on the JSA. And it was all the stuff that Superman from Earth 22 tried to come back and prevent from happening in this universe. And I'm like, this is completely different in a new timeline that before anything happened. What is going on?
And Patreon people who listen to our spotlight might get a kick. I think Eric thinks that he's the captain, Captain Sin from the whole deal when we get Gog.
Oh no, you say that when you have the the Arcadians or the Akarians. For some reason, the Akarians in Batman Off-World look a lot like Gog to me, just different colored skin.
And like you said, and I can tell you, you're spot on, Eric. It doesn't happen often, but you're spot on because I saw a lot of people talking about this issue. And there's a lot of weird things changing. There's a lot of things going on. And again, I didn't go back and reread all of Kingdom Come, but I have read it recently. I'm saying in the past year, I have read it.
I don't even know if you go back and read Kingdom Come or even the Kingdom, you jump into this and can fully understand what is happening right now.
Kingdom. Well, and that's what I was going to say is a lot of people who may not be even like...
Because I think you have to go and do some JSA stuff as well.
Maybe. And what you end up here where people are saying, oh my God, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's just a big fight. That's what I keep hearing. It's just a big fight. It is.
And it is.
There's a lot of fight.
It's the most detriment to the issue in my mind.
But there are some wacky things going on. And I'm not going to tell you that I understand all of them or what's going on to the connections. Hopefully Mark Waid isn't in the play because here's the thing. Kingdom Come, huge story, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have it. So he may be in that idea of everything that he's doing is so easily recognizable because of how big a story. But the biggest story as anything is, it's really just going to matter to the last time you read it. If you remembered it, if you read it multiple times and things like that. So he actually seems like he's doing some cool stuff, but I don't know some of the times that it ends up, like I said, it's a big fight. Now, what I really was hoping, because if you don't know, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, Mark Waid ends up doing this. He does it with Alex Ross. I'm saying Kingdom Come, and then he wants to do Kingdom. Alex Ross and him get in a fight. I wish that, or ends up where somehow we find out or realize, oh my God, he's just changing the kingdom stuff. That Alex, it's a olive branch out to Alex Ross to chat, but I don't think it is. But when you get in this,
because the thing is, we're not even really changing the kingdom stuff because we're changing pre-Kingdom Come history.
Yeah, well, that changes down the line too.
Is this a tit for tat situation? Because I think Alec Ross went and did some stuff for Jeff Johns or the JSA stuff with the Earth 22 characters that Mark Waid wasn't involved with. So it's like, I'm going to go back and do this. I don't know.
I told you at one point, I
don't know what the beef is at this point.
I talked to Alex Ross, and I ended up, because he follows us, and I ended up sending him a tweet about Kingdom Come. I think it was because me and you did a little bit of Kingdom Come during the shutdown when we didn't have any comics coming out, and I think we did a couple things or maybe an issue, something, and I asked him a question, and I was talking to him really quickly. It's not like anything big, but then I said, "Oh, do you suggest?" It's like when I asked Dan Jurgens why he was writing fucking Booster Gold. And so then
newbie.
And then I was new. I didn't know. I was upset. So I said that because I didn't know the beef. And I said, "Oh, do you suggest reading The Kingdom?" And he's like, "I don't want anybody to ever read that." It was like, I'm like, oh, and then I see why. But he's like, it's a sore spot type deal. It would be neat to.
Well, The Kingdom's like the idea of like you have this story that's really good. Like I put it in like horror movie terms because that's what I understand. Having a sequel to a great movie, it almost feels like a cash grab, milking the cow situation when you have The Kingdom to what The Kingdom Come was.
And what ended up if I get and I may not get every particular right. I hope this is how I remember it. Is that, well, first off, why are we having a sequel to something? This is something that's really good,
especially
by
with
itself.
Alex Ross, because that made it stand out as well.
Yeah, and then the sequel though was doing things that they were kind of like kicking around at one point for and Alex, no, we can't do that. Things with kids, things with like stuff like that. That he's like, no, you don't do that. That would never happen. Mark Waid just wanted to do it, so he just said, "Hey, you don't want to do it? Fuck you, get out of here." And Alex Ross said, "Fuck you," and left. And then he did it, and then that's been between them ever since. So I would love, though, if somehow, I don't know if this would do it, whatever, but it did it in a way that all of a sudden Alex Ross was like, you know what? Thank you for changing. Let's do something together again. Because if Alex Ross and Mark Waid did a new thing, completely new, but it'd be huge. I mean, if they did something at DC like that, it'd be so cool. But we'll see. Thundermanor. I just
don't know what we do now.
Well, I don't know.
We have the idea where we have Earth 22. Kingdom Come is yet to come at this point in time in the timeline that our current day, or I say current day, but our world's finest find themselves in the timeline of this Earth 22. So pretty much for the majority of this issue, they end up fighting their counterparts of Batman and Superman because these characters know Thunderman and they want to protect Thunderman, whoever these doppelgangers are that are trying to kill him and then you have Thunderman this entire time saying, I don't know what they are. They're bad guys. He's playing them, gaslighting them this entire time. So then I have to imagine what has been going on in this world outside of this new GOG rewrite that this God character has come in here and has every superhero in the world worshiping him to be a part of his Justice League, essentially, to where they will be the trial and execution, judge, jury, executioner to everybody because it's all at the whim of what GOG wants.
And it's now the kind of play. Maybe by the end is the idea. It is part of the multiverse now. This Earth, and the multiverse fixes itself, Eric. I always have to tell you that. But who knows how it's going to play and how Mark Waid does weird things. He'll say, well, after this is when it became this, and then it went this, and it reverted there. I don't know.
Well, I really just hope they play is because we had that little preview, I think it was, before, like after one comic for World's Finest, looking like Thunder Boy or Boy Thunder.
That was the big play. That was the cliffhanger.
He'd become Magog.
Yeah.
In Earth 22. I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy because you never knew where the Magog of that world came from. So that works. But if you have a pre-Magog world right here, before Magog kills the Joker, Superman quits.
You love saying Magog. You love it, don't you?
I kind of do. I don't know. I've never actually cared for Magog because he was just the antithesis of everything that I liked about superheroes. And that's the point of the story, to where they become too extreme because it's the 90s. And Superman has to come back and then go to other extremes to where, I swear to God, in every other Elseworlds, Wonder Woman is where she's always that person whispering in Superman's ear to go further. Like Injustice
she was, yeah.
I'm telling you, and like Flashpoint, she was just over the top and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just like, whenever I think of these things, you always have Wonder Woman being that person who's going to be the most over the top baddie she can be if she's given the book. But it's all in the sake of doing good. But it's just such a weird idea. We have Thunderman will one day become a god because he's given the spear by Gog. But just to get to that point, if we're not changing anything, doing weird timey-wimey nonsense by the end of this, or it's all fucking hyper time because who knows how anything works, I just don't know how nobody understands and recognizes they were all taken over by this god, Gog, before any of this ever happened. And I'm like, that's just weird. And never, like, and even the idea that it's never going to be brought up again during Kingdom Come, or like, because Gog is a different character in Kingdom. So I don't know.
And the play here too, just to point out, one of the big things that seems to be the caveat of it is these characters don't know about the multiverse. This is the thing where Batman has said, and they've said it a bunch of times, like, oh my God, like, and
like they'll deal with hyper time stuff in the Kingdom, but like multiverse is still like,
but the multiverse here, especially at this point, like they do not know about it, and that's why I did see some people. Come on, I mean, Superman would understand that not without knowing the multiverse. That's why Batman starts saying, "Are you Clayface? No, you're not fighting as big." And then you start thinking it's mind control. I like the way that that's played out here.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that makes me giggle, though, it works, and you have to do it. Superman fighting Superman. Okay, gray stripe. I got that. That's there. Batman kind of he looks the same. So it's, hey, I'm going to get in this suit because all these things.
Well,
it's only there to be able to differentiate.
You have Batman at this point in time, this pre-Kingdom Come era stuff, where you get to see when Batman gets his mechanized armored bat suit like that he would have in Kingdom Come, and now we can differentiate the Batmans. But this is where he got it,
and that's what I like about it. And that's where I think, like,
I feel silly because I was just like kind of pseudo praising the idea of Superboy and his powers, and this is exactly the same thing, but it's just to differentiate the Batman.
It is funny though when you do like. I think that's a really clever play because you got to figure out how do we because they're going to fight. Yeah, we can make them different, but we need something to really stand out. So you get the first look of it. I thought that was
cool too, because Kingdom Come Batman has such a distinct look that you would want to have this because you don't get to see it all the time.
Yep, it's really cool. And he comes down, and again, you're there, and Batman is trying to convince himself, knowing that he's not going to, believe him. The idea of, no, I am you. Doesn't this make sense? And like, no. And then you end up, Dick Grayson shows up. And that's kind of the funny play too.
I think Dick's going to die.
Well, maybe. And he pushes it aside.
In the red.
Oh, he looks so good in the red. And he comes in, he's like, hey, this could be mind control.
My favorite Nightwing costume.
I love it. And you end up where...
Even has the Batman Beyond belt.
Yeah, I'd like to say our Bruce, but he says, Dick, what's going on? And it even is there. Dick's like, listen, I got that you know my name.
A telepath. Good guess.
So everything ends up working out. He's like, oh, no. And it is one of those things that if you were Batman, you would start getting frustrated that they're not, like, you want to tell them but how do you spring it on them? That doesn't make sense to them. There's a lot of crazy
Especially
stuff
in the middle of a fight
on.
where they're trying to break your face.
Yeah, exactly. I'll break your face is what I say. But I'm looking at that costume so good.
It's so good.
Would you have laughed if when he comes down and then Arbor says, oh my God, Dick, and he's like, whoa, you can call me an asshole or something, but seriously, guy. Would that make you laugh?
You would have written it then, so I don't need that.
I would write so many Dick jokes the whole time because every time we talked about this so many times doing reviews, and I have written a lot of Nightwing reviews. And at one point, I said you can do it, and I said you're going to have a problem because you don't want to keep saying Nightwing.
The former Robin, Nightwing, Richard, Dick. You just can't say Nightwing and Dick over and over again.
And so when you can't say you start saying Dick, but then there's parts where you say it.
The former Boy Wonder.
It makes me giggle every time. So I'm like, and then
the Bruiser of Bloodhaven.
Batman calls out for Dick. I'm like, oh my, look what I did. And I'm like, yeah, I'll keep that one. All right, I did it. And then I'm like, you really run into a lot of things, just like I said. Not a great thing when you're doing a Spider-Man review. And then when you go and tweet it, and you tweet Doc Ock, kind of ends up being Ducock. And, hey, whatever you want to do. But it ends up making me laugh every time. So when you're doing all this stuff, he comes down pretty cool, but they're running into a brick wall. That the heroes aren't going to believe them. So not believing them, they think they're up to nefarious things. They're really just there to try to get and help Boy Thunder, Thunderman.
Who does not want their help, wants revenge, and apparently is in Gog's pocket and has everybody gaslit about who he is, what he's doing there, what he's been through. And now they can't even regroup back to the world because the transponder that, Barry gave them to go back to their own universe to stop the vibrational thing to keep them there, that was destroyed in the fight with their doppelgangers of this universe. So they are stuck here for a while. I don't know how they're even getting back.
I don't know either.
the Flashes or Speedsters of this world, hey, could you quickly build a vibrational cosmic treadmill?
You're going to have to reveal the multiverse to them.
Hey, Barry of this world, or whoever is the Flash currently at this point in time, can you do me a favor? I'm going to give you an idea. There's multiple worlds, and they're all separated in different universes by vibrational frequencies. Can you please build me something that I would call a cosmic treadmill, TM, for us to get back home?
I think you might have to do it. But what I said earlier about the John stuff, at the very beginning, you end up having Thunderman, Boy Thunder. It's like, Batman, Superman, you abandoned me, forgot about me, left me to fend for myself in a whole new earth. I'm like, ooh, he's singing John's song here. I actually thought at one point, because Superman's like, no, we didn't. I'd never do that. And Batman's like, well, maybe. I wish he yelled out. He wouldn't do that unless you're actually his flesh and blood. He just yells it out. But it's, and like you said, it almost feels like going forward. But again, the way that Bendis played it out when John was aged, there was no real way. The way that time went, they didn't even know he was gone. So you kind of have that.
It's so weird to think of, too, with the idea of Earth 22, because it's already a universe that takes place further in time than our current universe, right? But then we go back in time to a point that's still further than our current continuity. I say current, but whatever we're dealing with in this book.
In a book that already is back in the day, there's a lot of weird stuff.
It's still ahead of what they would currently be going through, in my mind, and our actual current continuity outside of this.
Yeah. I mean, you actually are pointed out in that at this point, Golden Fox or Silver Fox Superman. So he's a little bit older anyway. So you are a little ahead. Again, this book, it is something that you will oftentimes have to correct me when I start getting these wacky ideas. I'm like, and you're like, no. I sometimes forget that it is even like that far back because of the timeline being wonky with some characters and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
It does feel like a mismatch of nonsense. So, but in this, it's pretty cool. But like you said, if you're going to sit there, you might have to get out the abacus. You might start having to, do some crazy thoughts.
How am I going to explain this in a coherent way where people understand what I'm talking about? Because I got to the Gog part, and it's the wrong Gog.
You fail every other time, so I don't know what you would think.
Is it the wrong Gog, or is it just the embodiment of Gog later on in the Kingdom? Because this is the Gog that we got in our normal continuity of Earth Zero or New Earth, whatever you want to go with at this point in time, that the JSA fought. This should be a different Gog, but it doesn't look like it. This should be this universe's Gog, and it's not. But is it the early days of it, and how do we reconcile this to what should be the regular Earth 22 timeline when none of this should be happening right now?
And this is where I laugh a bit with the idea. You could have come on, and you just said some stuff, and this is your thoughts and what you wonder, and you have that, and you end up like, I think this Gog, whatever, and there's people there, they're scratching their head. Like, what is he talking about? And then we come back to me,
That's
and I'm
what I'm worried about.
Well, then we come back to me, and I go, Batman's suit looks cool, and everybody's like, he's right. Like because this is the thing about Mark Waid in this book, and especially this issue. You realize that when you have some great art, but also have some cool fights, you end up having wacky stuff go. People will still end up like, they may even not notice. Like maybe Mark Waid's like, but I'm writing a really smart issue here, and all I hear is it's cool, and I see that costume, and it's neat and it's fun. Because I had a lot of people this week. And I disagree because I really like some other books better, but saying this is their favorite book of the week. And I'm like, well, what do you think happened? Like, I actually and they're like, oh, it was just a cool fight. That seems to be enough for him.
That's the biggest detriment to the book in my mind, because you have Batman versus Batman and Superman versus Superman for the large majority of it, which, like I said before, you get your Action Comics portion of your thing going on in your comic, but it just isn't enough for me, especially when you leave me with a cliffhanger here for this long setup of Boy Thunder becoming Thunderman. I just have all these questions that I don't even feel like I got to the story yet.
There. Oh my God, you got to. And even then, it was so funny where they go back to the farm, and you do have those plays though that I like. There's some narration, but not a lot, and it's not narration like. And then they went back to the farm to discover that it was emptier than they ever thought. But they go back and you see the tombstones there, and then Superman hauls off and. Wherever Beast Boy is in the mud, he's very upset. He destroys a tree, or he punches that tree. It goes up. But I sat there and I'm like, all right, like you're getting. And then when you get the end, it looks crazy. And that's the thing. Gog is like, oh my God, and I thought that was over. Oh no, it's not over, because then you have the brigade show up, the Justice Brigade, and it's really cool. But what does it mean, and how is it working, and things like that. But I think that most people are just putting that aside for this and saying. It's really neat. It's really cool. And I don't know. It's confusing if you dive into it, but you could just explain it. Hey, they go back to the Kingdom Come deal. Superman's fighting Superman, Batman's fighting Batman. That might get some people to check it out. And then at the end,
with some amazing art.
Well, what I really need, and the stuff that you're saying obviously is there, obviously is going. I don't know how he'll do it, but there has to be a moment where Mark Waid does something that actually everybody's light bulb goes off. Oh my God, even me not paying attention to that. You know what I mean? Like even, and I'm not saying me, but somebody saying, I was just there for the fight. But now what just happened, I realized how clever that issue before. Oh my God. And he's good enough to do that, but will he? And it's a very odd play. Yeah, I don't know either. So, because I just don't want
this to do a weird thing where it somehow just derails the Kingdom Come timeline for no reason at all, except for to explore this world.
And we talk about that a lot. We even said it's not the same exact thing, but me and you talking about Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, and I even did a little like separate quick video with just me on YouTube. But the idea is like, hey everybody, spoiler alert! I don't think Godzilla's going to die because you can't like wreck things and whatnot.
Right.
This is a little different because it's Mark Waid's story or have to deal. And when he's doing it, he just might, but I don't think he will. But at this point, how does he get in? You know what? Like you said,
and that's
how
what
do
I'm
we
here to
get to
find
it
out
now? And that's a neat kind of intrigue to see how that would happen. Because when people said, "Oh, he's going back to the Kingdom Come deal," like that seems like a wild moment. But when you really think about it, you're like, what's he going to do there? Like, what is it? Just like, are you going to have Superman and Batman like ghosts going through like It's a Wonderful Life to see what happened? I don't think so. So when they get there, what are you going to do? And then you are at the point, don't ruin it. But now I want to see if he does and how he does. It's like, I want to see how he doesn't ruin it. So weird. Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty cool though. But overall, kind of just a fight here. So I can't go too gaga about it, Lady Gaga. But what would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because it is a great big fight, but it looks amazing all the way through. And the ideas that, like, I'm discussing with the idea of the Gogs, is it the God form that we never got to see in this world that we later got to see in the JSA of the late 2000s? Possibly, but I need to know how this is going to work out in a way that, feels great for the way of storytelling with it. And I want to find out what's up with Boy Thunder Man at this point in time. And the idea of him becoming Magog and seeing how, for some reason, I need to be here to see all the pieces of the puzzle fit in perfectly to have that satisfaction. And that's what I'm really here for because you're doing interesting things with a world that I do care about. So I don't know. I need to see it stick the landing. So I'm really intrigued to the point. Like, I would never drop the title at this point in time for how intrigued I am. But because it is just a big ass fight, it looks great, but you're not getting a lot of substance throughout because it's all like gaslighting until, hey, here's a big cliffhanger for you. I need a little bit more meat than that. But I still enjoyed the issue because of what could come. 7 out of 10.
Now I'm 7.5.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.